What's up, guys? I'm your host, Tucker Merrihew. This is episode number 37 of the Real Dealz podcast. I got my lumberjack shirt on today. I got my beard growing out, so I probably look a little burly, but, hey, it's almost Movember, so I guess that's okay. Hey, I wanted to do an audio podcast, a video podcast this week, because we didn't have time to do an audio one, but I got a video one that I think is going to be a good one. I think you guys are going to like the topic. And the topic is going to be all about growing your business and growing as a person. There's two things that really kind of go into becoming successful as a real estate investor. Number one is education. You have to know what the hell you're doing. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're just wandering aimlessly, spending money, spending time, reading blogs, listening to podcasts. You don't know what works, what doesn't work, but you're trying to soak it all up. So education is obviously the most important thing. The next thing is to decipher the information and to actually take action on certain things. So you have to take action in order to have results. And so you got to get educated and you got to take action. What I want to talk about is not so much the getting educated part. You guys made it to this podcast, so you're doing a pretty good job getting educated, in my opinion. But I want to talk about the taking action part. Now, when you take action with anything at first, or even, as you continue to grow, there's a universal feeling that you're going to have. And we've had a lot of people mention this on the forums, on our Facebook page and our Deal Finders Academy. And the general feeling is that people are uncomfortable. In fact, they're even scared, sometimes scared shitless. And it's just the way that it is. If you are going to grow, if you are going to grow a business, if you're going to grow your real estate investing business, if you want to get good at this business, you're going to have to do things that make you uncomfortable, and sometimes really uncomfortable. So, for example, when you're starting out and you're trying to get into the direct seller game and you're not just, having realtors submit offers for you, now all of a sudden you have to talk to people and you have to spend money on direct mail campaigns. So, if you're sending out your first direct mail campaign, you probably feel like you want to puke because you spent money and you don't know if you're going to get results, and there's all these variables and you got to talk to people. So there's all these things that make you feel uncomfortable. That's normal. You should feel that. And you should feel a little bit scared too if you haven't done it before. Everything that's worth doing is difficult at first. So this is not like anything, else. This is difficult at first. So if it's worth doing, it's going to be difficult and it's going to scare you and it's going to make you uncomfortable. So keep that in mind. The next thing as you kind of grow in your business is you might have to hire somebody to help you out. You've started sending out your direct mail. You've got more calls than you can handle. You can't take all the leads and process them and call people back and set appointments. You got to hire somebody, right? If you hire somebody, that means that you're responsible for their well-being as well as yours. That can make you uncomfortable. That added responsibility can scare you. It's normal. That's the way that it works. Then maybe the next step is that you go from wholesaling to rehabbing. You take on a rehab. That scares you because you don't know everything about construction. You don't know what you're going to run into. You don't know how long it's going to take you necessarily to rehab it. If you open up the walls, you might find mold. You might find rot. You might find termites. There's all these things that are unknowns that create that feeling of uncomfortableness and being scared. Totally normal. If you're not doing that, you're not growing. So this gets me to my point. If you're being complacent, and you're being not uncomplacent, I think that's the word, but if you're being complacent and you're comfortable all the time, you're not growing. And you're just going to have a mediocre life and mediocre results and a mediocre business at best. I always say if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So if you're not pushing yourself, you're not at least a little uncomfortable all the time, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're probably actually contracting because you're on the defensive all the time and not the offensive. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the number one thing that successful people really learn how to manage. They almost kind of, if you're not uncomfortable, they're almost unhappy because they feel like they're not growing. They're not doing things to kind of push themselves to the next level. And so once you get to those next levels, you'll look back at, let's say where I'm at now. I look back to the day that I decided to hire my first employee. And, it seems like, well, that was no big deal. Well, at the time, it scared the hell out of me because I got somebody else's livelihood I'm responsible for. You've got to manage them. You've got all these things that at the time seem very scary and make you feel very uncomfortable. Well, looking back now, it's no big deal. So that's the maturation process. That's how you grow as a business owner. That's how you grow as a person. So to wrap this up, as it pertains to real estate investing, you have to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable with sending out direct mail, talking to sellers, taking on a project, raising money, getting a house under contract, not knowing how you're going to fund the deal yet, but you know what you need to do in order to figure that out. Go find private money lenders, go talk to hard money lenders, go talk to partners. You can do all these things. So if you're not doing things that are making you uncomfortable, chances are your business isn't growing, and if your business isn't growing, you're probably not making the money that you hope to make at some point in your life. So my advice to you this week is to do things that make you uncomfortable, and if you're uncomfortable and scared, you're probably going in the right direction. Now that doesn't mean go out and do stupid stuff. It just means do things that continually push the envelope and push you as a person and as a business owner and as a real estate investor to the next level and to the next level and to the next level. Don't get complacent and don't get comfortable all the time, because if you do, all you're doing is, just creating a life of mediocrity for yourself. So I personally like to push the envelope just about every day that I can. Obviously, some days you have more energy than others, but you really want to try and do that. If you do and you follow that advice, I can assure you that a year from now you'll be in a much better place than you are today. So that's episode number 37 here of the Real Dealz podcast, the video version. I will be back next week with an audio podcast for you guys. But until then, see you guys next week.